Lions have also taken up their positions and have already had a successful hunt. But it's not enough for the full pride. The lions know exactly which points on the river are the easiest for the zebras and wildebeest to cross. While some of the lionesses keep a watchful eye on the young, others are closely watching out for the arrivals by the river. The lionesses, mostly mothers and daughters, sisters, aunts and nieces, form the hunting party. Crocodiles may not be quite as social, but later they will need each other as well. More and more wildebeest gather on the opposite bank. They're facing the greatest challenge of their long journey. The steep banks alone that line the Mara in many places are hard to overcome. But the wildebeest have no choice. Down by the river, the life-saving herd becomes a liability. Hundreds of animals push their way forwards, leaving no opportunity for escape. The underwater hunters are on their way. There is simply no end to this sumptuous meal. The wildebeest are well aware of the dangers, but they have to get through. The river literally puts obstacles in their way, and those rocks are often deceptively slippery. Once the first animals have dared to enter the water, there's nowhere to go but forward. The crocodiles try to attack the open flanks. If they get too close to the thick of it, they're at risk themselves. Now the wildebeest have to run the gauntlet. They have managed to reach the safety of the bank. But some didn't make it. The wildebeest summon their last reserves of strength. Their ability to leap is their only chance. The safety of the individual lies in the sheer mass of the herd. But the crocodiles are not alone. Once one of them has grabbed a wildebeest, it attempts to drag it underwater. The other crocodiles will help. Each bite has the force of 2,000 kilos. Crocodiles are merciless opponents. And the animals that pass the first hurdle are faced with the next ambush. The lion attempts to immobilize the wildebeest by biting into its throat. Even if they survived the river, they can still be trampled underfoot. The youngest wildebeest, born only a few months before in the Serengeti, are experiencing this terrifying migration for the first time. They need to get back up to strength. But the trek must go on. Driven on by the stressful experience, the animals quickly take control of their new terrain. This large-scale partnership of convenience will now separate into smaller herds until it's time to return to the Serengeti in 2 months' time, following well-trodden ancestral paths. The Battle of the Mara is over for the time being, and the vultures will finish what the crocodiles could not. They're still living in the lap of a rare luxury. Even if a crocodile didn't manage to kill its own wildebeest, there are plenty of fallen and drowned animals floating right past their noses. After a few days, the carcasses are easier for the crocodiles to tear apart than freshly killed ones. Despite their armory of teeth, crocodiles can't bite off bits of their prey. They have to rip them to pieces by shaking them from side to side. Even though they cooperated in the hunt, they do not like sharing. For the lions, the riverside hunt is now over. But the pride had a successful hunting trip. There's plenty for everyone, and even the chance for the youngsters to practice dismembering the kill. And practicing the fatal bite to the throat. For the youngest, it's all just a game. Their teeth are not yet powerful enough to tear the skin. They still need the adults for that. A full stomach feels good. Both the adults and their young feel playful. But this unconcerned rollicking can't last long. The adult lions know that if they leave the carcasses unattended for long, there will soon be nothing left. So they drag them to a safe larder, a tough task even for a fully grown lioness. Hunting and eating are thirsty work. Lions do not scoop up water with their tongues. The rough surface of the tongue binds the drops of water, and that causes a pillar of water to follow through the adhesive action between the water molecules. The surface area of the Masai Mara is a mere tenth of the size of the Serengeti. And yet it provides sufficient food for both the new arrivals and the long-established indigents. Most of the steppe zebras and wildebeest are migrants. These common tsessebi live here permanently. The males like to stand on raised hummocks to keep an eye on their territory and their females. Since both sexes look very similar, the females often copy this behavior to confuse male intruders. Giraffes have an even better view of the surroundings, which is why zebras like to stay close to the giraffes. In the searing midday heat, every unnecessary movement is avoided. Even the jackal can't summon the energy to hunt. The hyenas are no different.